All right, let's talk about Area 51. For decades, whenever you hear that name, you pretty much think one thing, right? Aliens. But today, we're going to peel back the layers of secrecy and get to what's really going on. It's the question that's launched 1,000 conspiracy theories. For years, the popular answer has been all about crashed flying saucers, alien bodies on ice, this whole cosmic cover up story. But what if the real story, the one the government was actually fighting to keep secret, is in its own way even more incredible? Well, today, we're cracking open those declassified files to find the secrets that have been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Now, just to be clear, our investigation isn't based on rumor or some late-night internet forum. Nope. We're going straight to the source, official government records that have finally seen the light of day. And what's really fascinating is how recent some of this is. You're looking at a report from the Pentagon's AARO. That's their new office for investigating UAPs, or what we used to call UFOs. They are literally going back through decades of history to figure out what was fact and what was fiction. So to get the whole story, we're pulling from a bunch of places. We're looking at that AARO report, we're digging into the CIA's own declassified histories of their spy plane programs, amazing documents from the National Security Archive, and of course, the Air Force's own official takedown of the Roswell incident. Okay, so let's get into the first huge secret Area 51 was built to protect. And it's a big one. We're talking about the incredible, almost unbelievable ghost planes that were being tested out there in the desert during the Cold War. This timeline just lays it all out, doesn't it? Area 51 was basically a factory for the future of aviation. I mean, from the U-2 spy plane in the 50s all the way to the very first stealth prototypes in the 70s, this place was seeing aircraft that were decades ahead of anything else in the sky. And that brings us to this beast, the A-12 OXCART. Just look at those numbers. We're talking about the 1960s, and the CIA has a plane that can scream across the sky at over 2,000 miles per hour, right at the edge of space. I mean, could you imagine looking up and seeing something move that fast, that high up? Of course you'd think it was a UFO. What else could it be? But here's the thing. It wasn't just about being fast. It was about being invisible. The work at Area 51 on these wild prototypes led directly to the F-117 Nighthawk, the first real stealth fighter. This thing was a game changer, a plane that was a ghost to enemy radar. And get this, it was so secret, the public didn't even know it existed until 1988, a full 5 years after it was already in service. But the secrets didn't stop with American planes. One of the absolute most classified jobs at Area 51, a secret within a secret, you could say, was getting to know the enemy's tech inside and out. And this table shows you exactly how they did it. Under these awesome code names like Have Donut, the US got their hands on actual Soviet MiG fighter jets. And what did they do? They flew them. Right over the Nevada desert, they'd have these secret dogfights against American planes to figure out every strength, every weakness, and how to beat them. So you have all this intense, layered secrecy, right? Well, it had this completely unforeseen side effect. It accidentally created the most legendary UFO story of all time, Roswell. See, according to the declassified files, the Roswell story doesn't start with a flying saucer. It starts with this: Project Mogul, a top-secret, high-stakes Cold War spy program that was trying to listen for Soviet atomic bomb tests from way up in the atmosphere using these crazy high-altitude balloons. And this is where the two stories just split completely. The legend we all know is about a crashed alien ship, but the reality, according to the Air Force's own report from 1994, is that the weird metallic stuff found out in the desert wasn't from another world. It was from one of these top-secret Project Mogul balloon arrays, which have these radar reflectors that would have looked totally alien to anyone who stumbled upon them in 1947. And this, right here, is the absolute key. The security around Project Mogul was so tight that even the guys on the military base at Roswell had no clue what it was. So when they were sent to pick up the debris, they had no idea what they were looking at. And that created this huge information vacuum, which, as we know, got filled with the most exciting story imaginable. So that brings up the big question, right? If we have this declassified evidence, why do the stories about aliens and crashed ships stick around? Well, the answer is kind of baked into the secrecy itself. That recent AARO report really just says it all. Their conclusion was that the Air Force wasn't trying to hide aliens. They were trying to hide real secrets, like their spy planes and their nuclear surveillance projects, from their very real enemies here on Earth. The UFO story was actually a pretty convenient, even if accidental, cover story. So when you mix that intense government secrecy with the fact that people were genuinely seeing bizarre, super advanced aircraft like the A-12 or the F-117 flying around, well, you create the perfect breeding ground for conspiracy theories. The government was hiding something huge. It just wasn't aliens. And as more of these Cold War programs slowly get declassified, it leaves you with this one last, really provocative thought. The mind-blowing UFOs of the past turned out to be revolutionary human technology. So you have to wonder, when we strange things in the sky today, what unbelievable but entirely human technology is being protected by the secrets of tomorrow?